Special meeting of the Cameron County Commissioners Court, September the 25th, 2007. As we do all meetings, we will start with an invocation by Bob Clark, and then I'd like to ask Tracy to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we come before you as we do every Tuesday. We know that you know our needs here in Cameron County. We ask for the blessings from heaven to fall over our county. We thank you for no hurricanes or bad storms so far during this season, and we pray today that they will not hit our shores between now and November. Lord, we bring before you all the young people, from the very youngest to the very oldest. Lord, you know the needs of the young people today. There's fights, there's gangs, there's so many things going on in our public schools and our neighborhoods and our parks. Give particular attention to the beaches and the parks of Cameron County, Lord, that these things will not happen. And I beg you for protection for the schools, Lord, and for the security forces and our police departments, that these kind of things will stop in Cameron County. Lord, we ask for the blessings from heaven again to fall on this agenda today and also on our Cameron County staff and workers. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Public comments? Item 2, presentation of the 2008 United Way Cameron County campaign kickoff.
Mr. Rivera is running a little bit late, but we have the members from the United Way, Tracy Wickett and Mike, and we're kicking off this year's campaign. Cameron County has always been a great participant in United Way, so it is at this time that we initiate this program and bring them forward. And based on Mr. Rivera, he says that our honorable judge, is going to be our honorary chairperson for United Way. And of course, Mr. Rivera will be the hard worker, and I'll be doing the scheduling so that we can get this on the road. We do have participation with Northern Cameron County United Way, but I guess they're running a little bit late. But we do work with, we have a chairperson for the county for that area that does United Way. We've been increasing it from like $3,000, and last year we did $11,000 for county members in that northern area of the county. But it is a well-deserved organization. We reach out to a lot of people. We have how many partners? 22 partners throughout southern Cameron County, and they have like about 16 in northern Cameron County. Everything from Loaves and Fishes, and here we have the Ozanam House, and we do the Monica House, and all these organizations that are out there reaching and helping those in need. Now, would you like to? Yeah, there's the word.
Judge, members of the court, thank you so much for allowing us to come today. We're very excited. Cameron County has always been a great supporter of the United Way, and I'm very happy. This is my first year as the Resource Development Director for the United Way, and I came over here because we are a new organization. Many of you have seen us, and we've been around for maybe 54 years now. But over the last 5 years, we have made some big changes. We are no longer the agency that just brings in money from you all and then gives it out to the organizations in the community. We're actually taking on initiatives and projects that are changing lives that we are running, such as our Financial Stability Partnership, where we're working with local partners and volunteers, where we do free tax assistance for folks. And then we help them take the money that they get for their income tax refund and put it into a bank account under an Individual Development Account program, our IDA program, and then they're able to purchase a home. And we've been doing that now for about 6 months with the Individual Development Account, and we have our first homeowners moving into their house over the last 2. With our tax program, 3 years ago we started that, and in Brownsville alone, only $200,000 were being accessed in the Earned Income Tax Credit. Last year, we helped 1,500 folks receive the Earned Income Tax Credit, bringing in $1 million in our free sites alone. And in 2008, we will be doing another million, so it'll be $2 million with 2,500 folks. So the United Way is a new agency. We are still funding the agencies that are out there, the ones that are helping with our safety net. But we are looking at why folks are falling into that safety net and how we can take them out of it and keep them out of it through our different educational and financial stability programs. We're excited that the county is willing to partner with us this year. We will be in each and every one of your offices to talk more about what we're doing and explain to your staff and your partners as well what we're doing so that we can raise the funds to help us to do that. Thank you so much. Enjoy your hats, your coffee mugs. These coffee mugs are better than ones that you carry in your car because they have our logo on it. And we're excited about these new coffee mugs this year and the rest of the gifts. But thank you so much, and we look forward to this year's campaign. Thanks.
Nick, thank you very much. Any other comments? I had the privilege of sitting on the United Way board some years back, and so I understand the work that goes into this board. And I think that some of the messages that we send out is that the money that is raised locally stays locally. And I tell you, it's very competitive because you have a lot of need, a lot of organizations that come for more, for money. And it's like us. Everybody comes to us for money. We only allocate so much, but the United Way has done a good job in distributing those funds. And not everybody's happy, but I think you all do a great job. And Tracy, I know you've been at that helm for, I won't say how long, but it's been a long, long time. And we always want to appreciate all that you do. Is there anybody else? All right. Well, thank you all very much. And if you'd like to scoot, you can. All right. Thank you. Item number 3. Well, let me hear a motion to acknowledge the United Way, presented by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item carries. Item 3, presentation and status of proposed streetlight improvements for Laguna Heights and Cameron Park.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Judge and Commissioners, what we wanted to do today is just update you on what we've done and what we need to do on the proposed streetlight improvements for Cameron Park and Laguna Heights. I provided some some presentation materials in your packet, and what I just passed out is really a summary of all that in bullet form. I'd like to go over that with you for a couple of minutes. Later on your regular agenda, we're asking you to approve our state funding agreement with the state, which provides the grants for this project. It also provides funding for other improvements dealing with water. The project concept, as it came to staff, was that the county would obtain grant funds to install the streetlights in Laguna Heights. Later on, the project was expanded to Cameron Park as well. And as proposed in the project concept, the residents were expected to donate any necessary easements. The residents would also be responsible for the monthly cost of the electrical service, and the county would secure a third party for monthly billing to collect from the residents. The installation is to be provided by AEP, the installer. and the county will need to select a electrical service provider, be that CP&L or Reliant or whoever. The main source of funding, again, is the Texas Community Development Block Grant. Our grant period extends from July 4th of '07 to July 3rd of '09. All the improvements, including the streetlight improvements, must be implemented and they must be operational before the end of the contract period. The funding that we have, again, is only available for installation. There is no funding for the monthly service costs. There is no funding to acquire easements. Our cost estimates are based on 2006 figures, and once we get to the installation piece, that cost may or may not increase. As far as the easements must be 5 foot wide. The county must acquire the easements and dedicate them to AEP. The easements must be free and clear of vegetation and debris. I know that in Cameron Park, Brother Albert and staff visited some of the sites that will require the easements, and you know, there's a lot of vegetation, and the county will be responsible for clearing that vegetation before they're turned over to AEP. Laguna Heights requires 5 easements as it stands right now. There's 36 proposed lights in Laguna Heights, and we require 5 easements. In Cameron Park, there's 84 proposed street lights, and there we require 42 easements. And because of the magnitude of the number of easements in Cameron Park, we've gone back to AEP, or at least staff has, and we've asked for a revised cost estimate. We've asked AEP to tell us how much it would cost if they could extend service along the street instead of behind the rear of the property. So they haven't given us that cost estimate, but we'll have to weigh the difference, whether, you know, it's more cost effective for us to go ahead and acquire the easements and clear them, or if it's more cost effective for us to pay the additional cost to go along the street. We don't know what that cost is right now, but it may make the project a little bit easier to implement, if you will.
Frank, do you want questions at the end?
I'm almost done. I'm only got one more section.
Oh, so you'd rather you
Yes,
finish?
yes.
Okay.
I need to enter this into the record. Again, the electrical provider will be billing the county for the monthly service, and it will be up to the county to bill the residents to recoup that cost. Right now, state law does not allow the county to mandate that the residents pay. We cannot force the residents to pay for the monthly service, so it's going to be voluntary. Again, we need to secure a third party to do the billing. We contacted CP&L because they appear to be all over the place, and they indicate to us that based on their policies, they can bill the county, but they can't bill the residents directly. We have also contacted for Laguna Heights, the Laguna Madre Water District, to see if they'd be willing to use their water and sewer accounts to bill on behalf of the county. We met with their staff, and we're supposed to be there tomorrow at their board of directors meeting to make a formal request. We don't have a final answer yet. We will need to do the same thing with a PUB. We have met with their staff, but at some point, we probably need to go in front of their board of directors and see if they'd be willing to use their water and sewer accounts to bill in Cameron Park. Okay. Commissioner, you had a question?
Well, first of all, on the easements, how is that being funded?
There is no funding for
There's no-
easements. The easements are supposed to be donated.
Donated, and where are you with that? I mean, is everybody willing to donate, or what's going to happen if some do and some don't? Does that kill the project?
No easements, no project. So
In Laguna Heights, the individuals have all been visited, and they have agreed already verbally.
Well, I can
allow
see
for
that
the
Laguna Heights is a lot easier.
There's only 5.
Yeah, there's only 5, but I'm looking at the number 42 for
Right.
Cameron Park.
It's difficult. What we want to do is, instead of going along the rear of the property, we want to see what it would cost us to go along the street instead. That would entail fewer easements, but additional costs in terms of wiring and poles. But that may be more feasible for us to do it that way in Cameron Park. Right now, we've been working with Brother Albert in Cameron Park to come up with a strategy. If we have to acquire those 42 easements, what the best way is to approach the residents.
Frank,
Yes,
at
ma'am.
a later date, I mean, I don't know if this will actually go through or not, but would El Salado area out on past El Jardín, would these areas also be eligible to apply for this type of license?
The grant program that we have, the Community Development Block Grant of Texas, does make funding for electrical service installation an eligible activity. So yes, El Salado would be eligible. Again, if and when we get to that area, we would be dealing with the same issues. The principal issues, again, are possible easements, and then how do we bill the neighborhood to recoup the cost to the county for the monthly service. But yes, the installation is eligible.
Okay. From what I see in the backup material, it seems like PUB is not really willing to commit to that.
Well, we met at the staff level, and again, it's not that they don't want to. I believe that the problem that they're having conceptually is that the county cannot mandate the residents to pay. So that means in their computerized billing system, as I understand it, it's one of those programs that says yes or no. Did you pay? Okay, you keep the service. If you didn't pay, we disconnect you. And they don't have a way to offset that in our case because we can't disconnect for non-payment. So it's something that, it's a technical thing, but we still plan to, at some point, approach our board of directors for a formal reply.
Okay,
I
let me
know
just, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let me just clarify. So on the easement, if you don't acquire all the easements, it doesn't matter, you can still go on with the project?
No easements, no project.
Pardon?
No easements, no project.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, because I figured that's the way it is, and that's what concerns me.
Yeah, let me elaborate on that. When I say no easements, no project, in Laguna Heights, for example, we have 36 lights proposed, and we need 5 easements. When I say no easements, no project, that means that we could still do 31 lights, but we'd have 5 fewer lights. You follow me? And in Cameron Park, we would do, and we have 84 lights, we need 42 easements, so we'd end up doing half of those lights. We would still do the lights that don't require easements, but we wouldn't be able to do all the lights.
Okay, well, you'd still have part of the project that would be implemented.
Right.
That was my main question. And then the other concern I have is on the billing.
Yeah.
Because we had a nightmare with trash collection billing.
Right.
And so that's another concern of mine. I don't know how.
That is our concern too.
That's the issue.
Yeah, I don't think, unless we get a handle on, I mean, we're talking about $34,000 a year in potential billing, assuming this project goes for both colonias. And just like Commissioner Benavides said, I mean, once we do these, then we have to stand ready to do every single colonia, that qualifies, under these projects. We don't have a billing mechanism to do this.
Not right now.
And yet. And until we do, I'm just not sure how the county is going to pay $33,000, $34,000 a year just for these 2. And how are you going to enforce the residents to pay this? You can't. It's got to be strictly on a volunteer basis.
Right.
So we're obligated to pay. We're not going to cut off the lights if 30% or 20% or 50% of the people don't pay their utility bill. So I don't understand how we're going to be able to do all this unless there's a mechanism where they get, but these are just the post, the community posts, right? The community lights. Brother Albert, how are we, do you all have an idea or a plan or a concept as to how we're going to collect all this? Can you step up, please? Because thank you. And just introduce yourself.
And I just talked with Hidalgo County because they also initiated, they were the ones that got the legislation passed, and they don't have a good idea either so far. but I've heard from someone, I forget where, that Mississippi has been able to do it through their tax system. And that would be, in my opinion, one of the simplest ways of doing it. And I'm aware that if it's through taxes through the whole county, then the county would be obliged to give lights to everybody in the county. I would imagine, I'm not sure. But another way, I was thinking of just if it's possible to tax, say, Cameron Park and Laguna Heights separately. I don't know if that's legal. I think they asked the Attorney General. Well, the Attorney General said that that they couldn't do it. That it's not legal for just for lights. Is that right? That they can't demand it. So, but if it's something like maybe a municipal utility district, then again, I looked into that some years back, and I'm not, if I remember right, that it doesn't include street lighting, but it might. I'm not sure. And if it doesn't, well, then I have to go back to the legislature and do something else. Another possibility at one time was maybe raising funds in the community, like a community festival or something. But where do you get your $34,000?
I'm just adding the estimated monthly bill for Laguna Heights and the estimated monthly bill.
I think it's around $20,000, isn't it?
Well, I'm adding Cameron Park and Laguna Heights.
Yeah, the two together. I think Cameron Park is $18,000 on the average, and Laguna Heights is $700.
No, the high, and I always use the high.
Okay. Well, what do they mean by high, low, and medium?
Right, and then you add Laguna Heights. Yeah. Right.
Well, what's high, low, and medium, and the cost of electricity? I was thinking maybe it's a summer, winter, and spring or something.
No, I'm using the information that was provided. It's around $23,000, $24,000 for Cameron Park, and another $8,000 or $9,000, or whatever that number is for Laguna Heights.
Cameron Park is $19,000, right?
No, it's $1,900 per month.
Oh, yeah, okay.
According to this.
Would be times 10, yeah, okay, times 12 would be...
10,000 Laguna Heights.
Yeah, so the Commissioner got to $10,000 for Laguna Heights and about $23,000 plus for Cameron.
Okay.
So that's where I come up with the $33,000, okay? And the reason is that because we cannot be arbitrary and say we're going to do Cameron Park and not do Laguna Heights. I mean, we have to find a billing mechanism that's going to, that's going to grow for the future as well. This is not just for these two areas. And that's going to be the challenge. I will tell you, I don't know how the court wants to determine this, but until we have those ducks in line, we really can't pursue, we can't go forward till we know how we're going to do this.
Now, voluntarily, nobody knows how much we're going to get, how much will be successful in receiving voluntary. That's on the high would be $250 a month, which would be times 12 would be $48 a year, right? Yes. 48 plus about $50 a year. And we made a survey back 8 years ago, and 95% of the people that we surveyed, out of maybe we did I think about 500 or 600.
Yeah,
they were willing to pay that.
Yeah, I as one would be very hesitant to bank on voluntary contributions.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to do that.
I can understand that, yeah.
So,
but
we need to work together and come up with a plan as to how we're going to do this, to make this happen, but at the same time, we saw what the lack of billing mechanism did for our garbage collection. It still has some problems, and it's going to have some problems.
Yeah.
And we can ill afford to have those kinds of receivables and bad debts out there.
Well, I think one way...
is that the Rudy Giuliani phone call?
Is there could be some billing mechanism set up, and I know the problem is that you can't oblige under any billing mechanism, it seems like. The ones that are not paying, you can't cut off the electricity for everybody because 2 of them didn't pay, and you can't cut off the electricity just for those 2 that didn't pay. But I think that's what I'm saying, that the ones that won't pay, I think most probably won't be a lot, we don't know though. And if we have to make up the difference, I imagine there could be some type of community collection or festival or some type of fundraising to make up the difference. But these are all things that we can't
Well,
put a
the other
number
thing,
on.
Brother, the other thing, just let me just caution the court, is that the estimated monthly billings that we have here, that is the bill that we estimate for the consumer. If we're going to develop an in-house billing system, it's going to take some additional expenditures to create that as well, through software, through personnel, through whatever it is. So really, it's going to be a lot more than a simple.
Well, that's why the tax method would be the simplest.
You know, I mean, we can go down that path, but I'm saying that we need to look at the worst case so we can prepare. And if we cannot do it through the tax structure, then we have to find another mechanism to do it. And it's going to be a lot more costly than $33,000 to do this. It could be almost $100,000 to do this by the time you factor in personnel costs and, you know, whatever it is we have to do. So these are good endeavors, but I think that we really need to plan this so we're not stuck with a bill that we can ill afford.
The other question, one question that I have that I think might be worthwhile clarifying is who do those lights belong to, the county, or are we, is this proposal under the lease agreement, something like a family gets a security lamp in their backyard, and it's, I think you lease or does the county own the lights? Is it going?
As I understand it, the improvements would belong to AEP. It's like when we build a water line or a sewer line, we turn it over to the provider, and they accept it for...
We buy it.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's sort of a lease.
AEP would own it. They would also charge a maintenance fee that would be part of the monthly bill to the residents. In one of those cases, that's built into our cost estimate. In the other case, it wasn't available, so we don't have it in there.
When this legislation was introduced by Representative Gonzalez, I know my office and David Garcia and Pizza Pulver were very involved in the legislation as it went through the process. And we very diligently try to work with her in being able to put teeth in how you would have the monthly fee associated with the law. And if you read, you know, page 6 and 7, it's very vaguely addressed. It gives us authority to impose the fee, but it doesn't tell us how we can do it. And, you know, it was done that way because that's the only way that the legislation was going to pass. And we could not, you know, her office and all of us, I know, worked really hard in trying to figure out a way for what we've just discussed for the last 15, 20 minutes, you know, to address the annualized cost of operating the lights. You know, ideally, you would do it through either a utility district. That's ideally, that would be the way that you could do it, you know, if there would be an agreement to do it for you. The water meter connections come to mind. AEP has said that because of their policies and procedures, they cannot do it through their structure. Okay? So that's the only other avenue that we have, is a utility connection.
But see, the different avenues that you've mentioned, Commissioner Garza, we tried that with the trash collection, and it didn't work. I definitely support the project, and I'm already getting phone calls because the agenda went out and people saw the agenda item, and I don't blame them. The colonials in my precinct are saying we want the same thing, and it's definitely something we have to work on. But I'm not in favor of moving forward until we figure out the collection system, and I'm still weary of the fact that I'm concerned about the fact that can we really put teeth into it as far as the collections go? What mechanism can we use? You know, there's a lot of questions out there that have to be answered.
I know that in the trash collection process, the one entity that had the highest percentage of payments was the Military Water District that collected for Red River in the areas that they serve, okay? And correct me if I'm wrong, David, but I think that's, you know, that's when it was built into the regular bill, you know, they had a really high percentage of people paying that bill associated with.
Now, where the utility districts did not cooperate with us, and we couldn't do it through some of the other water meter connections and other companies, utility service companies, they had more difficult time. But in the military water district area, I know that they had a high percentage I know that we've had some meetings already with the Laguna Madre Water District, and they're reluctant because it provides for them to have to keep a different accounting method, for payment, non-payment, what do you do, who does the billing when they pay the water bill and they don't pay the light bill, per se,
But you still have the problem, Commissioner, of what authority do they have to do anything if they don't pay? So you go back to the same problem. Even though the military highway system did have a high collection, but what about the percentage that was not paying? There was nothing they could do. They weren't going to cut off the water.
No, they would not.
So
the one department that we have not talked to is the tax assessor's office. I know legal counsel did mention that it'd be kind of hard, difficult to find a way to include in the taxes, but the legislation, as you noted, is broad enough. We're in talking maybe to Tony, we might be able to find a way to include that in the tax collection at the end of the year or whatever. So we might want to sit down with him and see if there's a way where he can put it into, I know he has a software that he uses that might be able to accommodate, this collection, so.
Yeah, and there is a section in the law that allows for the imposition of a fee on landowners in a subdivision who benefit from the lights that you put in there. But then it kind of waffles in the collection of the fee imposed on that section. It doesn't give you, like a direct ability to do that. Even though in some cases, in some subdivisions, I know that we've made improvements that have been financed by the county and it's added on to their tax bill. What is it that the Attorney General said you can't do?
I think Mr. Garcia spoke to Richard Burst, the Civil Division Attorney. I don't know that anybody's spoken to the Attorney General.
Oh, well, Commissioner Woods, I believe, was pursuing that line of thought of asking the Attorney General if the tax assessor collector can collect either a fee for the lighting or either a taxes that pay for the lighting. I imagine. But it doesn't say how to do it.
Yeah.
That wasn't what y'all were pursuing, what y'all asked?
It still doesn't say.
It wasn't the Attorney General's, it was our Civil Division attorneys that we were talking to in interpreting the language in the legislation.
It leaves it open for the next AG opinion, I guess.
Excuse me, David. In a case where, like in a city where you own a lot, and a lot of these people abandon their lots, and, they get a lot of weed and grass growing, does the city not go in and clean it up, but they put a lien on the property? Would we not have that same ability to, no?
We don't have
any ordinance authority,
We don't have.
county-wide, or counties in Texas, so that's the problem we have, when it comes to the authority that we're limited to.
And the way we go into situations such as you mentioned in the county is through the health and safety code, because it becomes a health hazard.
Okay.
So you can deal with it in that manner.
Health or safety.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, my suggestion is to pursue that legislation to see whether the tax, whether the county does have the authority under the tax system to do this. I wouldn't call it billing. Maybe that's what's call it collecting taxes to
imposition of a fee to be consistent with the law.
Whatever language you need to use to get around it. Because that would be the simplest and the cheap, I would think, the least expensive, and I think my understanding of things is that the only thing the county's gonna have is to put a lien on the property, and how you can do that, if that legislation allows you to do that.
Well, the only challenge you have with liens is that, you don't collect till they sell the property. A lot of these properties are for generations. They never sell them, so we've got this huge...
That's any type of...
Yeah, exactly. So that's
a problem.
that's never any good. Well, I just kind of continue to try to find out from the tax assessor's office. We can do that. If it's not in legislation, then we got to wait till the next session, to do that. But for now, just try to pursue other avenues and just see where we go.
That's fine. What we would like to do, though, with your all's permission, is continue to work with the neighborhood leadership, maybe have a couple of neighborhood meetings so we can bounce this around. And we'll work with the commissioners from each precinct on that.
That's fine.
Okay, so we can use these numbers now. What you have here is on cost. Yeah. And on the easements, it's a big job, 84 easements. I'd prefer not going through that route, but if we have to, we have to. And I think we can most probably get them because we can also, because you have two sides. They put a line. They need a line on a certain spot where you have two lots that you can choose from. So if one side doesn't give it, maybe the other side. Then if those two are not agreeable, then we can go to the other side of the street also. As we talked with the electric company. So actually we have about four people we could go to. Actually maybe more, because we could move the pole a little bit one way or the other. So maybe we have up to 8 choices.
Many times, though, associated with changes to the plans that AEP made is an increased cost, because they've already gone through and their engineers have done a study of where their existing lines are at.
Well, we have that map, and we know where the poles are, and wherever
and if they have to add additional poles to get the light in there to avoid having to get an easement,
well, we're aware.
Increased cost.
Yeah, no, we're aware of that, and I think it still holds, but we have about 8 choices, But it'll be a work. We went down to the... Well, I want to congratulate the commission on taking this up. This will be a great contribution to our community, not only our community, but the whole state, maybe even the nation, because this is something you're going through new territory. It hasn't been done before, except maybe in Mississippi and some others. So maybe we could investigate how Mississippi conquered their problems, and maybe we could learn something there too. If you want, maybe I could make I don't know anybody there right now, but I imagine we could find somebody. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge the presentation?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Benavides. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Consent items and travel items. Are there any items any member of the court wish to take out and discuss separately?
Judge and Commissioners, I'd like for you to pull out number 5 and table, because it just doesn't apply in this situation.
Which one?
5. You want to take it out to table it or discuss it?
No, just to table it. It just doesn't apply in this situation.
Okay. Have you discussed this with the DA?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they concur?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And David's here in case you have any questions for him.
It's okay.
7.
7? 8? 10? Anything else on travel? Do I hear a motion to approve consent items 4 through 16 and travel items 17A and B, with the exception of item 5, which will be tabled, having to deal with exempting the County Purchasing Act contract for lease of property as office space. Item 7, consideration of a contract between Cameron County Department of Health and Human Services. That will be taken out, discussed separately, along with item number 8, along the same lines. Item 10, issuing a due protection permit and beachfront construction certificate.
Judge, can we also pull out number 16?
And item number 16, dealing with the purchasing program to purchase a pickup for the Department of Transportation. To table or to discuss separately?
Just to point out.
Okay. Do I have a motion for all the items with the exception of those that I just mentioned? Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Items carry. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa, to discuss a whole bunch of things. Item 18A, deliberation regarding real property concerning the possible lease of land at Isla Blanca Park, Track 3, pursuant to Code Section 551.0712. Item B, deliberation regarding real property concerning lease with Lydia Bastedo for parking space for the Dancy Building, pursuant to Code Section 551.072. Item C, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Guillermo Gonzalez versus Eugenio Tapia and Dale Roberts, Eric Williams, Danny Huerta, and Mario Gonzalez for discussion and authority to represent Danny Huerta and Mario Gonzalez of the Sheriff's Department, pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A and 2. Item D, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Crystal Vic, appeal number 07-010-83-669, for discussion and possible settlement pursuant to Code Section 551.0711 and B. Item E, confer with Assistant District Attorney Alfredo Padilla concerning consideration for representation of Cameron County in Armando R. Villalobos individually in a federal cause of action, namely civil action number B-07-CV-135, Josephat Hospitalsano plaintiffs versus Cameron County in Armando Villalobos individually, defendants pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A. Item F, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning authorization for the Civil Division to represent Cameron County in the civil action number B-07-CV-135, Josephat Hospitalsano versus Cameron County and others, pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Items carried. Item A, deliberation regarding real property concerning the possible lease of land. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of our Parks Director?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item B, deliberation regarding real property concerning lease with Lydia Bastedo for parking space for the Dancy Building. Do I hear a motion not to renew the contract?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item C, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Guillermo Gonzalez versus Eugenio Tapia and others. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of counsel?
No, to authorize
And to authorize representation
for Danny Huerta
for Danny Huerta and Mario
So
Gonzalez.
moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item D, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Crystal Vic, appeal number 07-010-83-669. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of counsel and authorize, you want to authorize,
To proceed as
proceed along discussed in executive session?
So, second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item E, confer with Assistant District Attorney Alfredo Padilla concerning consideration representation of Cameron County and Armando Villalobos individually. Do I hear a motion to authorize Mr. Padilla to represent Armando Villalobos individually?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I have a second by Commissioner Gatsa? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item F, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning authorization for the Civil Division to represent Cameron County in the same civil action. Do I hear a motion to authorize our Civil Division to represent Cameron County?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. The consent items that were pulled out, do I hear a motion to table item number 5, which is consideration authorization to exempt from the County Purchasing Act the contract for lease of property as office space for the Cameron County DA's Special Operations Group, specifically the requirements of Code Section 262.23. Moved by Commissioner, and 24A and 2. Do I hear a motion by Commissioner Gatsa?
Yes, sir.
Second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 7, consideration approval of a contract between the Cameron County Department of Health and Human Services and the Texas Department of State Health Services, fee for service.
morning, Your Honor, Commissioners.
Morning, Herb.
I just wanted an opportunity to thank you, sir, and the Commissioners for your support in this endeavor, because it was not easy to get this funding from the state, and it took a lot of effort, and we didn't know where we were going to be. We thought we were going to lose some programs, and now we're in uncharted waters, but we're at least have the money to proceed, and hopefully we can figure out how the grants are going to work with the CHIP perinatal program and how much we can generate during this period.
On item 7 and 8 that we're going to pull out also, is that the money that we were told we were not going to get, and now they've reconsidered?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The 500,000 is the money.
515,000,
Yes,
right?
that's the money we were not going to get, and then we had a reconsideration.
Okay, all right. Do I hear any?
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah, let me hear a motion and a second to approve, and then we can discuss it.
Okay.
Do I hear a
So
motion
moved.
by Commissioner Gatsa?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. Discussion
We're on number 7, right?
on number 7, yes.
In regard to this fee-for-service program, have we started billing with Superior yet?
No, sir.
What are we waiting for?
It takes about 90 days to be certified or credentialed by Superior Health Plans. So right now, there was a conference call last week, and they were, they kind of see our situation. We're different than just a private provider. We're a local health department. So
Right.
they're trying to work the contract to work it to where it's a little bit more to our level. Remember how the legal department didn't like it? They're working with us on that, and they're also moving forward with us getting credentialed anyway while this process is going on, so we can continue to build out a network while they're trying to dot every I and cross every T.
So then you are able to bill out of network right now?
No, sir, but they're working on it, and that'll come faster than the credentialing.
Some of their provisions, I think, have like a 60-day period that you
Yes,
can
sir.
go back on.
Yes, sir.
It would be nice if you could make sure that you would get a waiver on that to include at least up to the time when we submitted the contract to Superior. Because, these grants are here this year, but, we already know the
Yes, sir.
writing's on the wall as to what's going to happen next year. And
Yes,
there
sir.
is no reason why the service being provided by the folks in our clinics cannot be reimbursed through the insurance.
That's correct.
They're doing it, they're reimbursing doctors' offices for those services. We're providing the exact same services.
Yes, sir. We have that process in place already for back billing whenever we have the opportunity to. We do that.
Okay, we need to make sure, and hopefully, as soon as you find out, let us know when you're gonna start doing that billing, and
Yes, sir.
like quarterly, have us see what's going on, because I think that you can generate for your department a very significant amount of money through that program.
That's what we're hoping for, sir.
And, they're always short on everything, supplies
sir.
and personnel, and, this is one way that you can augment those budgets tremendously.
That's what I'm hoping for, sir.
Okay. We had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 8, consideration approval of a contract between the Cameron County Department of Health and Human Services and the Texas Department of State Health Services, prenatal services.
And the same for this. Move to approve.
Actually, this is the one that's the 500,000. The other one was at 34,000. The reason we have it split up like that, sir, is because originally we weren't going to get the 500,000. We're just going to get the 34,000 for child health services. So they split it up in the Austin, and then we just got it in 2 pieces instead of 1 lump sum.
And both can be billed for.
Yes, in fact, all the monies that are on there, they're fee for service. We get reimbursed after we do the service, and then we bill the state.
Okay.
Motion for approval.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any further discussion? This is the one that we were in jeopardy of losing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They're together.
Very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 10, consideration and authorization to issue a dune protection permit and beachfront construction certificate to Costa Rica Food and Spirits, Inc. and Aguico Properties, LLC at Andy Bowie Park.
Judge, Commissioners, this here was a request from our concessionaires. And basically what it is to remove all the structures that are there at beach access number 3, or the land that we're leasing to them. There's some pilings that need to be pulled out, and that required a beachfront construction certificate and a dune protection permit. So everything else they started removing as far as demo work, but in order to remove some of the pilings that were buried, they needed this permit. And we've already ran it through the committee and through the Texas General Land Office.
Okay,
They have no problem with it?
No, ma'am. The only thing that they wanted to do is make sure that there was only 2 items on the permit, and I specified them here in the permit that I'm going to provide to the judge.
Now, part of the agenda request, on the background, it speaks a subsequent application will be submitted for the construction of the condo hotel facility. And as we talked about a month ago, we want to make sure that everyone is involved in that discussion. I'm talking about the Isla Blanca Park Committee, the Parks Board. Everybody is aware that this is happening, or that there's let me rephrase that. They're aware that it's being requested. And we want to have as much input from them as is possible.
Okay. If I can discuss this briefly, is we met with the 3 groups, with Spirit, Property Owners Who Care, and Save Isla Blanca, and they all didn't have any issues. They were glad that we came to them, and they appreciated that we brought them up to speed, because they were thinking that we're doing things different. So we explained to them what we're going to do in the future, or what our plans were in the future and what we did in the past, and they had no problems. We just met with Spirit last week, so I'm hoping to bring an agenda next Tuesday for affiliated management to approve the concession.
I mean, I would recommend that unless something is privileged and confidential and legal, that you automatically copy that's what I would think. Anything that you're going to send out, unless, again, it's confidential, you let them know ahead of time so they don't believe that, if they miss an agenda item, or they miss a meeting, at least they have the information available.
Okay.
Okay?
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 16, consideration approval to use the Houston-Galveston Council of Governments Cooperative Purchasing Program to purchase a pickup for the Department of Transportation.
Judge, Commissioners, this particular item was left off this year's equipment list, and we wanted to bring it for your permission and authorization. The equipment will be applied towards the 07-08 equipment list.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 20, budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules.
Judge and Commissioners, I left 2 sheets in front of you. The first one is the last one for the fiscal year 2006-2007 line item transfers. There's 2 departments requesting transfers between line items. And the second page is actually budget amendment number 1 for the 2008 fiscal year, to set up the funding for the action that the court took in reference to the salaries for the director and assistant director.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Benavides. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 21, approval of county claims. Do I hear a motion to approve county claims as presented, along with the additional claims that were passed out a few minutes ago?
So moved.
Do you have anything else? Okay. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? Please note my abstention on the claim to Harlingen Waterworks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I have an abstention also on warrant 00188-126, and I've turned in my affidavit.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Item 22, discussion and possible action regarding a contract extension with Bob Clark, representing the Brownsville Teen and Senior Center.
Honorable Judge and Commissioners, I left a couple of sheets on your desk there. One is regarding who we're working with right now. We have 11 proposed classes, and and they start at 8 in the morning, and they go until 8 at night. We're working with many entities of the city and the county. We're working with AARP, HARP, which is a Hispanic grant through Baylor University, and we're starting there on Friday and Saturday of this week in peer pressure, teenage peer pressure needs and marriage counseling, not only for those that are married, but for those that are planning to get married. I put down Valley Regional Hospital as well as the Cameron County Health Department. We have given about, in the last year, 4 trailer loads of medical supplies and medicines. Also, the city of Brownsville, through their ambulances and also through their health department. I usually call the Pat or Anna or somebody with the health department of Cameron County first and let them cherry pick off what they can use, and then I go to the other 3 or 4 that I work with to give out medicines. We also had a surplus of medicines this past year, so it was 3 trailer loads were donated to DIF in Matamoros. The Bestero program is a wraparound mental health program. There's 38 students that were registered last year at Bestero. They have to have medicines during the daytime, some of them very costly, and I've asked the HEB Corporation to help us with some of those medicines. We had those, some of those students were in summer school, but some of them, about a half of them, about 18 of them, were put into our summer program, which had at one time up to over 100 young people from 6 to 18 that were there on a 1-star state program. It was a nutrition and exercise program. And depending on how many volunteers I could get, depending on how many children could go to the Pete Benavides Park and play soccer and basketball and get some good exercise. I don't want to take any more time, but there's many other areas like the Reality House that Mrs. Mancha contacted me and said that many of the people that get out of prison only have the clothes on their back, so we've been donating clothes and things to them. There's been 2 areas of dissent in the past year. One of them was caused by my loss of the warehouse next to the sheriff's office in Olmito to a courtroom. I understand that that particular area is being used now for that purpose. Up until then, for the last 7 years, I've had no problem with the warehouse space because that's like 30,000 square feet. Last week, I received another 30,000 blankets. I donated 5,000 immediately to the city of Corpus Christi, who had been in contact with me. But I do have, for Cameron County usage in case of a hurricane, tornado, or any other type flooding, anything, we have 25,000 blankets in the warehouse at Lorera Warehouse number 6 on Coffeeport and Robindale. The other area was brought up was the congestion in the center out there based on the need of warehouse space. But about 4 months ago, I finally got a local businessman, Mark Bernard from Coastal Realty, to donate 6,000 square feet to me behind the UPS at Price Road in the Crossroads Shopping Center. And then Mr. Lorera came through for me for the blanket storage. In order for me to get the food and clothing and medicines and medical supplies into a warehouse and out of the teen center so it won't congest or take so much space, I need some funding for this coming year. I was not approached by my good friend Javier, but for one reason or another, we never got together when he was planning for his presentation. Last year, if you'll recall, the papers were drawn up and I received a pickup truck for $6,000. I think it was a 2002 Ford 150, and $600, which covered the full coverage insurance for the year. We presently have three vehicles that we're using on a regular basis, and that's what came up with the automobile expenses. One of the vehicles is in the name of the teen center that was donated, not the truck, but the Azusa, had a transmission that go out this year, and I was able to take it down to FAR and get it done for $1,500, whereas Cardenas wanted $4,800 for it. I'm trying also and asking for an administrator's salary. Mr. Rolando Aguilar could not be here because of a prior commitment this morning. I had him lined up for tonight, but when it switched over to this morning, I could not get him here. But he's been helping me for the past year without pay. He's very conscientious. When I got in diet drinks, because he is a diabetic, I even offered him some diet drinks, but no, he didn't want to take anything. He most recently bought me a brand new, beautiful folding ping pong table that was donated by a friend of his. And we are sponsoring 4 underprivileged children. There's 13 to each team, so that's 26, 52 young people that are playing soccer now on weekends at the soccer field just down the street from us. And that was at a cost of $1,200, if I remember correctly. And that included uniforms and everything. They waived some of the charges for us because we were a 501c3. I estimate that we've helped in the past year approximately 2,700 families in the southmost area. Helped them with food, clothing, wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, many different things, many different things. We were able to help Head Start next door to us with many different things. We got into some beautiful $30 backpacks with fully equipped on the inside with folders, notebooks, paper, pens, pencils, what have you. And I presented that to the Head Start next door to us. I also contacted the mayor so that our graduation party was free of charge. They were about to rent a auditorium to have their graduation last May, but in turn, we were able to get the new pavilion at the Gladys Porter Park. I presently have 3 grants pending. I'm very disappointed in the recommendation by one of the county employees recommended a company out of Houston that's doing grant writing for the city of South Padre Island for grant writing. They've had us now. They asked us for $750 up front, and we had to raise that through donations, and took me a couple of months, but we paid them in January, and to date they have gotten nothing. So my treasurer of my board, Willie Garza, is here with me. We sat down and made a presentation and application to a Ed Ratchell Foundation in Corpus Christi for a 1.5-ton, 16-foot body truck. Because some of the donations we get, we have to go to FAR, Donna, Alamo, several different places up and down the valley. Harlingen, just 2 weeks ago, I had to pay $360 just to get a trailer to go to Harlingen. Bimbo of Mexico, which owns most of the bread companies now in America, donated 9 pallets of items to us.
Mr. Clark, thank you for your presentation. I will tell you that what you're going through is not uncommon. I think what this court's done over the years is done a building. I've always said brick and mortar is easy. It's the maintenance and operation and the continuing that's what's costly here. I will tell you on the $50,000, it's too little, too late. Budget's already been adopted, and we barely found the ability to do everything that we need to do. So this one's kind of off the table, I believe, unless the court wants to make a budget amendment for that kind of money and take out a surplus. The item today, as I understand it, is to consider the extension of this contract.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In reading the contract and looking at at attachment A, which identifies what that center is supposed to be doing. There's also some correspondence here, and you and I had a brief meeting several months ago.
Yes.
There are things that are going on there that were not part of the contract, and consequently, there's been some issues and some concerns expressed by the general public to me, and I'm sure to other members of this commission. So we've kind of deviated from I wasn't here when the contract was adopted, but I don't see any amendments to the contract that allow for the selling or the wholesale or retailing of selling things out of that center. I don't know if there's sales tax implications. I don't know if there's an ID number. I don't know.
We have that, we have the ID number.
Okay.
And we are considered non-taxable. In other words,
I guess,
everything is not based on sales.
Well, but the
It's based on donation.
Okay, but there are sales that are taking place out of that location.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, that's not what I understand.
Okay.
Okay, so if that's not what's happening, then we need to clear up that point. There's some correspondence that is kind of exchanged between you all, between Mr. Mendez and yourself regarding certain other issues in terms of noncompliance. I'd like to hear from Javier and see what his thoughts are, since this is under his watch, and see what he'd like to do.
Can I ask a question before you? Are you a 501c?
Yes, sir.
So you have a 501c organization?
Yes, sir. Okay. With IRS, the state of Texas, yes, we are.
Javier?
Judge, we've met on several occasions with Bob and, about the programs and bringing people in. We hired a full-time maintenance for the building. We pay for all the utilities and maintenance and everything else. Of course, Niños is on the left side of the building. They provide their own maintenance and so on to clean up, and they pay their utilities. And
is that all we use that maintenance individual for, just for that building?
Is for the building.
Full-time?
Yes, he's inside the building, outside, and then he takes care of Brownie or Pete Benavides Park across the street.
And also Cameron Park.
Right, and then we also use him over at Cameron Park. Whenever our maintenance crew can't make it out there, he'll go out there and fix something if something needs to be fixed.
But the individual is at that building full-time?
Yes. So when we went out for proposals several years ago, when the concept first came up, Mr. Clark submitted a proposal, and he was the only one, of course, submitted that proposal for that area for the teen and senior center. And we drew up an agreement based on that, and in the back of the contract is basically a synopsis of what he had proposed in his, or submitted in his proposal. So that's what we're basing it off of, and some of those programs are being implemented there, and the only the issues we had was just the stuff that's being sold or I guess he's
well, but he just said that there are no sales taking place, so it either is or it isn't. So
I have 5 full-time volunteers through AARP, seniors that get paid, and they are all instructed to instruct each person that they talk to that anything that if they don't have Cameron County, City of Brownsville housing, if they don't have a food stamp card, or if they're not sent by either the BISD or the Cameron County, we give them those people things. But if they're not, if they're just coming in, like the employees of Head Start and WIC, they all do a little bit of getting things there from me. It's all on a donation basis. We have at least 6 signs all over the building there that is all on a donation basis. And I tell the people if I'm out there in front, and I've had some of them come in and I could tell that they were really in need, so I just went ahead and gave them things. But basically,
but on the contract, on the
Yes.
existing contract that we have, most of the programming was going to be classes, tutoring, counseling.
Yeah, we're doing
No, I don't think anywhere we identified on there to be running like an agency.
I was caught in the middle. I was caught from one administration to the other. Mrs. Benavides knows about what I'm talking about. The truck came up after the fact, budgeting, I guess, for last year, but I was to be put into the budget from Schlitterbahn, a percentage of the income from that particular rental, up to 40%.
The what? But you know, Bob, I mean, I don't think any one person on this court would be able to promise, you know, or say that they were going to give up to 40%, you know, without the whole court.
This was a closed deal that never went in writing, and, but I really didn't ask for any, I didn't realize that I was going to get all the things that I got and all the
Mr. Clark, hold on.
expenses that I had to go through.
Let's go back.
Okay.
Are you suggesting that someone committed 40% of our Schlitterbahn receipts towards this teen center?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, that's like, how much is that? I mean, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
200,000. We estimated at the time 120, I believe it was. It was based on 300,000.
Okay, well, and this is some of the things that we tend, and I'll say it again, that I caution myself and other court members, that anytime, for anybody that's listening out there, anytime you've got people or folks coming to us to make these kinds of commitments, that's why it's best to talk about it in an open session so that there's no misunderstandings. I have a difficult time, honestly, believing, I'm not saying I doubt you, but accepting the fact that somebody committed, you know, a couple $100,000 toward just, I mean, you know, that money is used for our park system, our budget. So I don't know where that came from. I don't think it has anything to do with the change of administrations. I just don't think that, I don't think that there had to be a misunderstanding somewhere, okay? But having said that, you know, and again, nobody on the court recalls that discussion. That in itself does not surprise me. But what does surprise me is that somebody would actually be committing those kinds of funds without talking with the Parks Director, at least one other member of the court,
Or bringing it to the court.
or bring it to the court or something. So that doesn't sound right. But anyway, but having looked at attachment A, I just don't see anywhere, and I think you kind of got sucked into some of this stuff, but I mean, where do we have here that people, that, you know, that we're giving away or even trading or selling or for donations commodities to people that come in? I mean, this, as I read this agreement and I read the attachment, it nowhere does it discuss anywhere about that we were going to be a distribution center.
Yeah, that was a means only of raising the expenses.
No, but you know, and I understand
and
that.
And I had no idea last September what these expenses were going to be, except that I did plan on some grants coming in to take care of that administrator's salary, and all these other things.
Well, but let me, Mr. Clark, did you ever come, when all these expenses started to, I guess, to come forward, I mean, did you discuss with anybody, let's say with our Parks Director or anybody else, the thought about, hey, we're going to have to start selling some commodities or giving away or something? I mean, the building, based on what I've inferred from what you've said, it's being used for other purposes other than what the initial contract that was entered into back in September.
Many different purposes, because I wasn't aware that there was so much need for that building there. I never dreamt that we'd have some of the classes. So BISD is doubling up this year on the homeless and the nutrition.
Well, I know, and I know that, but I think that we're getting into an area that is outside the scope of this contract. There's a lot of need in this community.
Sure.
We know that.
I know.
And you're a great philanthropist, and you do a lot of things.
I discussed that with Mrs. Benavides.
But hold on. I don't mind pulling out. Hold on. This contract today, the 26th of September, there's $7,650 that was, according to the contract, was provided for upfront startup monies, okay?
Yes.
And now we're here almost a year later, and this is up for renewal, but what I'm suggesting to you is that there are things being done out of that center that do not comply or are part of this contract. So we have two options. One, you eliminate doing that, or we add an addendum to the contract that allows you to do that, so you are in compliance with
I'll
with
work
some of these
either way
things.
with you.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we're at that point yet, but all I'm suggesting to you is that if you provided a $50,000 budget to do this, and you're not gonna get $50,000 because of our budgetary adoptions already occurred, did we factor in $7,650 into your parks budget for this coming year for this? You didn't. So we're gonna have to find was that just a one-shot deal that we were gonna do? Well, how was this place supposed to operate without providing any funds for it to operate on?
Grants. Grants.
I have something to say.
Okay.
And grants are great, but you never know if you're going to get them or not, for one thing. So the first concern, let me try and kind of summarize all these problems we
Simplify
have.
it.
The first concern is
Simplify it.
let me simplify it. Is the 50,000 right here, that I wasn't aware of this until I got the agenda. The other surprise is a commitment that you're referring to. And as I'm looking at what the attachment A is saying, all of this list, with the exception of the very last bullet, which is off-site mechanic classes, all of this, just by looking at it, can be provided through the health department.
And volunteers.
And volunteers, but I mean, the coordination, because we have programs that are doing this already, and they don't have to stay just in Precinct 4. And I think working with Yvette and Javier as partners, I think they can take care of this. For instance, coordination of social services programs. I call the health department when people are in need, and they have outreach staff that go out and take care of. Maybe we wouldn't do it to the level of sophistication that you're doing, but it can be done. In other words, we have to keep services going on, but we have to find a way to do it that does not cause a problem with the budget, because we don't have the 50,000. Sure. And the other concern I have in that letter that is here to Mr. Clark about the county fire marshal had a problem with, was that taken care of?
Oh, yes, immediately.
Okay.
Even though his letter came in to me after it was already taken care of. He said it had not, but he's been there 3 times since.
Oh, and
he's very happy.
It's been corrected?
Yeah. We don't have any warehouse in there anymore, because we have a warehouse.
Javier, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would recommend that we form whomever the players have to be, because these are very worthwhile projects. But and they need to continue, but perhaps it needs to be structured a little differently.
Javier, what is your recommendation to the court?
Commissioner, I would recommend that we operate the center. We take it over, and we could use their board as an advisory board, and run the programs, just like Cameron Park.
Okay.
We don't, the only thing we pay there, of course, is utilities and the staff. We don't pay for any of the agencies that come in. They bring their staff, they bring their equipment and everything else. We just provide them a space. And that's the way I envisioned this place to operate. And we didn't think that there was going to be any cost to us, and that was when we first thought of the whole idea, and working with the city of Brownsville and Bob, was that it was going to be self-sustained, that, it was going to be all volunteers, it was going to be, all these agencies coming in and providing these services.
Well, maybe we could partner with the city of Brownsville as far as maybe for some of the grants, to see if we would be able to bring in anything else that would be needed.
We were left out of the community. We should have gotten into that. In fact, Ben Medina was on my original board back in the 90s, but we plan on going to the City of Brownsville community grants for this coming year.
Okay.
I just want to say that, getting back to the health department, I was going over with my friend here earlier this morning, we have given in the last 2.5 years over $1 million to Cameron County Health Department. Brand-new x-ray machines in the original cartons. Over 150 breathalyzer machines at a cost of over $300 apiece. Last year, I got in 200 wheelchairs right from a factory. 40 of them went to Cameron County Health Department. They came out and stripped the cellophane off of them out in front of the teen center, loaded them into a couple of pickups. I want to continue. I don't want anything for myself. My expenses for my truck and 2 cars, yes, but my board wants to have the policy, I'm sure it continued through use and insurance agency. It costs money to bring these trucks in. When Avon called us in December in a tortilla manufacturer in Minneapolis, it was $3,000 to bring these trailers down. This continually happens. I get a lot of trailers brought in for nothing. I get a lot of things. I don't solicit anything.
Bob, excuse me, if we can, let's not try to deviate. I know, like I prefaced a few minutes ago,
Yeah,
I think
I would prefer to move everything out of there as far as the commodities. I would prefer to work out of a warehouse. Mr. Garza has an application in to Laredo National Bank right now on a bankruptcy of a warehouse with a loading dock in a good location, right off of Four Corners, right behind Security Drive off of 14th Street there, and he'll have the answer sometime next month. And if not there, we can find a spot. I just soon get them out of there. I can always direct those that are in need, because I'm finding more and more agencies that are calling me for food and clothing. I know this has to continue. I know that there's a lot of needs here. I used to send 80% into Mexico and Central America. Now I'm doing 80% here.
And we all appreciate that.
I can move all that out.
But,
and that's really the stickler here.
But I think there's some other challenges here. But
go ahead.
The teen center that was built for a and senior center was built for specific reasons.
Yes, sir.
That are outlined in this attachment.
Yes, sir.
And I think that we have similar programs that are going on at some of our learning centers, Cameron Park, Centro Cultural. That's the reason that Cameron Park Center
I had a meeting at 10 o'clock with Mrs. Rendon.
But I think what we've done is either just inadvertently, this has become a centralized location, a conduit for all these things to occur, and that was not the intent of this center. So
yes.
I think that you and the board needs to stay actively involved as an advisory board. With that, I think Javier coordinating with our other social services can provide the same thing. Obviously, we're going to need your knowledge as a conduit to these agencies. But we need to go back to what this teen and senior center was originally supposed to be focused on. I do recall about it was going to be a zero budget type thing. It's going to be, and that was a commitment that was made by a lot of folks.
Yes.
So having said that, I think I need to hear a motion to either not extend and then work with, at the same time, have Javier and the health department work with Mr. Clark and the board in going back to the basics of what this teen and senior center was supposed to be.
Sure. I have 2 comments I'd like to make. I'd like to be able to work with Javier, but I've had a great difficulty in getting Javier to return calls to me. I know how busy this young man is. But when I've left so many calls and I have to tell his employees down there, there's no sense in me leaving a call because I don't expect to get an answer. So that is not going to work out. The other thing is I have a great situation coming up tomorrow evening. At 5:30, our board is meeting at United Way with Wendy Hanson, who's, I guess, second over there at United Way. Wendy was the teen center director in the northwest side of McAllen. We went and visited her 3 or 4 years ago. They had a library and everything there, and she's going to help us. And our meeting tomorrow night, we'll have a brief 45-minute meeting, and then she'll walk in and give us some things to do to get more teenagers involved, more companies involved, more local people. She's already referred me to Robin Bruchette from the university, which is a health community program. We've already worked with her. I didn't know her, but indirectly, the Bestero program, the wraparound program, is under her.
Well, none of that changes with this.
Yeah,
I mean, you
we
continue doing that.
Continue that.
That's up, you know.
But I don't see, per se, I don't know how it would work, really, and I don't know how my board is going to accept this. Not that my board all works there, no. I only get, out of my board of 9 people, including myself, I only get 4 of them that ever come there hardly. I have some very busy people. Mira Champion, who's all over the country working for La Esperanza and Cameron Works and so many others. By the way, I was also promised, I didn't bring this up, and I did go to him a total of 4 times, and I finally gave up. I was promised last fall a full-time secretary there at the teen center. I'm sure that Javier can recall this. I was directed to go and see Mr. Castellanos at Cameron Works. I went there in August to begin with, and in September, he said, "I'm sorry, Bob, but we're out of slots right now. And if you come back on October 1st, we'll be under a new year, and I'll get you a secretary, and we'll pay the train for the first 6 months, and then the county was going to pick up the second 6 months of that year contract."
Excuse me, who was it that promised that?
The old county judge sent me to Mr. Castellanos and asked.
But you see, this is the problem here,
and he called him
that...
and asked him to give me a slot, but I never got that slot.
Well, and you don't know if it's going to happen October 1st.
So my wife is my full-time secretary. We're now there every day, Monday through Friday, from 8 until 4 in the afternoon. And then at 4 o'clock, we have 2 teachers coming in, and then other classes at night.
Well, I feel that this activities, Judge, can continue under the supervision and the coordination of Javier and Yvette and Pat.
I don't mind working with Yvette
They can coordinate this. They're doing a good job in other places, Bob, and an excellent job in other places. And I feel that it needs to come under our umbrella.
Okay. We're going to, on the 23rd of October, we're slated to go to Austin under One Star and be trained in a nutrition program, which will qualify us for food from the state of Texas, for the homeless, and for the wraparound and other programs that we're already involved in. And then in November, I don't know whether Mrs. Benavides has mentioned anything to anybody else, and I haven't mentioned anything to anybody else here, but maybe to Javier, but the Mexican government 3 years ago, under President Fox, decided his people were not being educated enough to do anything but laboring type jobs. So they have proposed to have American locations from Texas to California to school their people, to give them a GED if they've had a secondary education. And if they've not had a secondary, to give them a secondary certificate, and then they can go on and get a GED. And if they've not had any education at all, they can get a primary education. So they've come to us. We've gone through schooling. Willie spent 3 days, my wife and I spent 3 days at schooling with the Consul General here, down there at the mall, at their offices. And it's going to be largely a computerized teaching program. But we will be used also like substitutes, I understand, but they're going to staff it. They're going to pay all the supplies and what have you. And I did talk to BISD in relationship to their computers because part of their...
Okay, well, we're kind of getting off the agenda subject
I know,
here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We can save that discussion for another day. Commissioner, one more thing.
But
Commissioner
because
Tamayo?
of the fact that he made that statement, the consul has been working with me on those projects.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
they do not give you the staff. What they do is they'll train your volunteers, And so you have to come up with the volunteers. They do not give you staff for
Maybe
the...
that's why we were called
Yeah,
in,
no,
and we did have two
They'll
others.
train you,
And I
they'll
did
train you, and it's a
speak-
good project.
Yes.
It's a good project, but again, that can certainly function.
And Commissioner, the consul did speak to me, and I think I might have mentioned it to the judge, but I know that I spoke to Pete on it. At the time, the problem
Yes.
was the space over at the center, and that's why we hadn't moved on it. I told him that, we needed to fix up some items there at the center, and then we would get back to him.
We're using the library as a classroom because we do have a lot of center space here, and I have a very large conference table that sits 14 seats around it, and then we have the classroom with 25 desks, and then we can use the workout room, the exercise room, which really hasn't been utilized too much. We could use that as a smaller classroom, possibly for this GED.
Well, Javier, maybe this could be part of the project that you can put as one of the services that we might think of providing.
It's a wonderful program.
Once we get it.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
You're very welcome.
Do I hear a motion to deny the extension of the contract?
Judge,
Yes.
can I add something? I know in the contract we have a termination clause, and it gives 10 days. Could we give them 30 days?
That's fine.
That's fine.
To move all this stuff out?
With the understanding that our people will immediately start
Well, just
organizing.
make it no later than October 31st. Okay. Okay, do I hear a motion to not extend the contract?
I make that motion with the understanding that our staff will immediately start an implementation process to take over the
Okay,
service.
that was moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Thank you. Item 23, consideration acceptance of completion of project at Del Mar Heights. If you recall, I think this is the project we were buying people out. That has been completed. Everybody that wanted to sell has sold. Some money's been remitted back in terms of reimbursements back to the state. And this is just ready to acknowledge the completion of that project.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion?
Judge, I want to ask a
Yes, ma'am.
question on that. When we return money like this, does that not affect us in the long run if we needed to do something in another area?
Yeah, but the rules, as I understand it, and this kind of happened some time back, people were given the opportunity to sell. If they don't want to sell, then they have to stay. We had a couple that wanted to come after, but the deadline had already passed. So yeah, I mean, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Okay, but it wouldn't jeopardize the county in any way?
I mean, we couldn't force people to sell, but they know that that program is a one-shot deal, as I understand it, to buy them out. They don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. But I think we had a few that did not, but most everybody else was.
They did?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason I ask is, I have that area near Boca Chica.
Copernic Shores?
Yeah.
That's a whole new.
I know. But it's been in existence as far back as I can
Yeah, and
remember,
that
at the
one, I
same
think,
time that Del Mar Heights.
We looked at that years ago, and that one was a heck of a lot more expensive to try to do. Well, the houses are, I mean, they've got some nice homes, nice property. Problem is they don't have the reason to generate water. So, okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 24, consideration possible withdrawal of approval of July and August 2007, Section 114.026 Treasury Reports pending verification by the County Auditor. I placed this item on the agenda mainly because the July report has not been certified by the auditor. He's going to do that subsequent to this agenda item. The August 07 report that was discussed a couple of weeks ago was inaccurate. That has been corrected. So I'm asking that the court consider withdrawing.
Well, the balances were accurate. There was a accounting procedure that may have been corrected.
David, I know, this is not your agenda item, okay?
Okay.
And so I ask that we withdraw the approval of July and August so we can approve them with the regular reports at the next agenda item. The balances were accurate at the end, but the beginning numbers were not. That's fair, right?
The labeling of the column was needed to be corrected.
Correct.
But the
That's all I always-
numbers were correct.
That's what I've always said.
You'll bring them to us?
They're on the next agenda item. So I hear a motion to withdraw the approval of July and August.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatz, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item 25, consideration, acknowledgement, and possible approval of county treasury reports from October 1st, 2006 through August 31st, 2007 to Commissioners Court as per Section 114.026 and Section 114.044 of the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 114. As presented, I think, Rob, you're ready to certify these reports? Okay? Verify. Once the court approves these, there's an affidavit that, Rob, you've already signed and that I will sign, and the county clerk has to attest, and then we go on. This brings us in compliance, and it brings us current. So the next report due would be I think
you also need
September.
to, and I stated there, you also need to publish these in,
Well, that's our deal.
that's right.
I appreciate
That's what
that.
I'm saying.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
I have a question.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Tamayo. You have a second by Commissioner Gatsa. Discussion.
I have an order, but I don't have it signed
No, that's the one that we're going to
or
do.
verified.
That's correct.
How do we, as a commission, I don't know what to go look for in all these reports. I don't know, maybe the other commissioners can figure it out, but I don't know, I don't know what's right or wrong. I go to and depend on the auditor's office to tell me that this report is accurate to the best of the non-audited ability or whatever, whatever, wording you use. But I would like to see this report when it comes to us. By the time it comes to us, I'd like to see an attached order that says verified by auditor's office.
There's one in the minutes, some of the things that were there for signature, there's already...
No, but I'm just saying included in our package.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next suggestion, because there's already one there that Rob has already verified, okay? Once the court approves these, then I think I've already signed it in anticipation of the approval, then we move on. And what I'd like to suggest, David and Rob, is that you all get together, because I will not place this item on the agenda until you verify to us.
How many days does the auditor need for this?
You need to ask the auditor how much time he needs.
Because everybody gets, including the auditor, gets a packet the Friday before the meeting. So you have 4 or 5 days with it. Now, if I give him the report sooner than that, that's fine, but I'm just, wasting resources and time and all. Because everybody gets a packet, like I say, you all and him, he gets a packet on Friday.
That's why I prefaced my comments by saying that you and him need to get together. It's not a big deal. You're only 2 floors apart. Just go by and say, here's...
That's what I'm saying. The packet is there, and we present it to the judge's office probably the Wednesday before the meeting, so a whole week before.
Yeah, but he doesn't get it. Well, I think maybe at the time that you present it to us, you can just, email him a copy so he can look at it as well. That way, by the time Pete posts this agenda, your affidavit is also included in the packet with us. Is that okay, Rob?
Yeah, all I want to do is get one of these that says verified by auditor.
And signed. And then, once we approve it, then I sign it. It's not, my God, it's not rocket science. Just figure it out, just talk. You all talk to each other and get up there. And just, because I think the members of the court are not going to sign off on this report until they have the assurances from you. Okay? All right?
Judge?
Yes.
In the future, starting with the new fiscal year, the statute also requires affidavits, but on a month-to-month basis. So starting with the new fiscal year, I prepared the order, and starting with October 1, or the October report, then I'll have submitted to you and ready affidavits which have to be signed and published under the statute.
We have one more report, which would be the September report, and then we can which we have to follow the same process, right?
Well, you're supposed to
Yes.
do it during the same term, according to Mr. Burst, which means the same month.
Right.
So I don't know how you're gonna do it this
Well,
month, but...
that's our, I think your role is to, and you're doing fine, getting it to us timely, make sure Rob gets it, then it's up to us to approve it. Once Rob approves it, when you get it to Rob and y'all sign off on each other's deal, then it's up to us. I mean, your responsibility's gone, now it's our, it's our chore to publish
I
it,
agree.
and sign it, and all that good stuff. Okay?
Okay, but yeah, that's your responsibility, I'm just informing you,
Okay.
and that's it.
So noted. All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, item carries. Last item, 26, consideration approval of the budgets for the DA Drug Forfeiture Fund, Sheriff Drug Forfeiture Fund, Sheriff Child Support Fund, District Clerk Child Support Fund, DA Pretrial Diversion Fund, and County Bail Bond Fund. Javier?
Judge and Commissioners, these are supplementary budgets for the 2007-2008 fiscal year. There is one new one, the District Attorney Pretrial Diversion Fund, which was a new statute that allowed for the collection of fees specifically for this purpose. The Auditor's Office has certified the revenues for that, and the budget was provided to me by the DA's office, and it can only be used for that specific purpose. With all of these funds, that's the case. The funds that are collected can only be used for those operations.
Okay.
Let me ask a question on those pretrial diversion funds.
Yes.
Maybe David's back there. Can any of those amounts be used to offset any operational expenses, like in the magistrate's office or anything of that sort?
In which office?
The magistrates.
I hadn't really thought about it, but any cases that are referred for pretrial diversion would qualify. Anything that has their hands on pretrial diversion. I guess we'd have to figure out how many of those cases would qualify. For it.
It would be those that would go that route, right?
It would be the cases we get directly from defense attorneys. We get cases submitted for pretrial diversion before they come through the magistrate process.
Okay.
We get through the magistrate process. We get through the court process. So we have different avenues
Just
that we
kinda
get those. But I think some of those may qualify. We just have to figure out, put a percentage to something like that. And then we'd have to talk to Mr. Villalobos. He'd be the one to submit the budget and approve a budget like that.
Okay. And another question is, we'd already been collecting those funds, right, in this previous year? For pretrial diversion.
We started collecting September 1st. We hadn't been collecting any sort of fees or anything like that. What we had was a charitable donation that was administered by the probation department on a wheel, where it was a suggestion that they make a charitable donation to
But no collection of fees?
No collection of fees.
Okay.
And that was the impetus for us seeking this legislation, because as the program grew in popularity, it started placing a greater and greater burden on our office, and it had gotten to the point where we were no longer going to be able to administer the program without some sort of funding. Because what we had done, without thinking about it, we had taken, although we had lightened the load on the judicial process because it was a diversion from the judicial process, we were still having to administer it with our manpower and our paperwork, and there was no mechanism to collect what would be, this would be like court costs, I guess. And since we were taking them out of the judicial system, there was no mechanism to collect costs to stay in the county.
Okay. So then you'll be able to utilize some of those funds also?
Yes. The people that are, we're developing a unit or a mini department within our office to administer pretrial diversions, to make it a more formal process.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Moved by Commissioner Gatsa. Do I have a second by Commissioner Benavides? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, item carries. Before we adjourn on next Tuesday, I will be out of town on border security stuff. I'll have Pete post a real light agenda at the same time at 5:30, so just to let you all know.
And we'll have it at 5:30? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, and Honorable Judge Pro Tem will run it. I'm sure it'll be taken care of as well. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Benavides. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. God save this honorable court.